Welcome and good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Kitteringham and I'm the City Clerk and Director of Legislative Services for the City of Markham. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our first annual Seniors Roundtable and Open House. We're thrilled to have you here for what I hope will be a very interactive exchange of information and ideas over the next 2 hours. Markham is offering closed captioning for this session, so members of our online audience who wish to view closed captioning can click on the closed captioning button marked as CC located at the lower right-hand corner of their viewing screen. We begin today by acknowledging the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples and their commitment to stewardship of the land. We acknowledge the communities in Circle, the North, West, South, and Eastern directions, and Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, Seneca, Chippewa, and the Mississaugas of the Credit Peoples. We share the responsibilities with the caretakers of this land to ensure the dish is never empty and to restore relationships that are based on peace, friendship, and trust. We are committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. It's now my pleasure to introduce Markham's Chief Administrative Officer, Mr. Andy Taylor.
Thank you, Kimberly, and good afternoon, everyone. To those in the room and to those online, welcome, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for what I hope is an interesting, informative afternoon of discussion, questions, clarification, let you know what we're up to, and hopefully you'll let us know what's going well, what needs improvement. So that's what we're here for. So again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I really do appreciate it. On a lovely fall day. Who can believe this weather, eh? For October. It's wonderful. So as Kimberly mentioned, I'm the Chief Administrative Officer here at the City of Markham. That's just a fancy title for City Manager. I report to Council and I have senior staff that report to me. So I'm basically the City Manager here. And it's my pleasure to be here this afternoon to listen, as I mentioned, to discuss matters very important to our seniors in Markham. And today's Seniors Roundtable, an open house, serves as an opportunity for all of you to engage with fellow seniors and create inclusive spaces to discuss issues, old issues, new issues, emerging issues, and let's propose solutions today, or at least come back with solutions if there's some hanging questions left at the end of the afternoon. So we're here to look at issues, historical issues, current issues, emerging issues, and then let's drive out some solutions if we can. That's what we're here to. We're a solutions-driven community. We like to work with the people we're serving, and this is what it's all about today. Markham, as we're all well aware, is a very diverse and welcoming city, very inclusive, and we have a very active and vibrant senior community, as we can see here today. And every single one of you in this room this afternoon bring your own perspectives, and each perspective is very important to us. The experiences that you've had to help us inform the way forward. All this information, discussion this afternoon will be used to inform staff, the mayor, members of council. It's a collaborative effort. We all want to work together to address any challenges, opportunities, while also we'll be sharing with you this afternoon key information on programs and services that are currently available to seniors. And we're hoping as you listen or after the meeting through different ways, call us, identify the gaps. Like, yeah, you're providing that service, Andy, but it's just not working. It's just not hitting the mark. That's what we really want to get out of today. You know, what we're doing a lot of things and services and programs, but hopefully through the back and forth And today's just the beginning. There's lots of ways to communicate after this meeting. What are the gaps? What are we doing well? What are we doing okay? And what needs improvement? That's what we're really here to figure out collectively. So once again, thank you for joining us this afternoon and taking the time to be part of today's, which I hope will be a very fruitful discussion. And I look forward to a wonderful conversation this afternoon. So that's it for me. Now it says here on my notes, and I've got to read the notes. I'll just read it verbatim. Usually the mayor wants a big fancy bio and all that stuff, but the notes they've given me here just says, I would now like to invite Mayor Scarpitti to deliver his remarks. Mayor Scarpitti.
Well, thank you very much, Andy. Am I okay to pull this back a little bit? Oh, my cord. Okay, I just wanted to move it back to just a touch, just so that people that have the seats at the side can see us a little better as well. So good afternoon, Andy. Thank you for that wonderful, amazing introduction that you gave me. I spent about a half hour writing it last night, and then you didn't use any of it. But in any event, thank you for that, and certainly thank you for opening up. And also to Kimberly Kitteringham, I want to thank Kimberly. She's our city clerk. Her, along with her staff, and as you'll see, supported by various departments this afternoon, have organized this seniors roundtable, an opportunity, as Andy said, to really hear directly from seniors in our community. Before I make some remarks, I want to just take a moment to recognize the members of council that are here this afternoon. And as I think you can appreciate, not all of them could be here today because there's actually other meetings that are happening. There's also other events. But I do want to say all of council is very supportive of the services that we provide in our community. And I know that if all of them could have been here, they would have been if it wasn't for other commitments. So just to recognize that first and foremost, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the members that were able to be here this afternoon. We have Regional Councillor Jim Jones, who's here. Welcome, Jim. Thank you very much for being here. Regional Councillor Joe Lee, who's also here. Welcome, Joe. We have Ward 6 Councillor Amanda Colucci, who's here. Ward 3 Councillor Reed McAlpine, who's here, and Ward 5 Councillor Andrew Keys, who's here. And while other staff will be introduced that are making the presentation, I can just tell you that I'm very proud of all of our staff here, and really want to say thank you to the senior leadership team that's over here. And Andy Taylor, our Chief Administrative Officer, was recognized. We also have Morgan Jones, who's our Commissioner of Community Services, who's here. Welcome, Morgan. Thank you for being here. Our Commissioner of Corporate Services is also here, Trinella Kane. Thank you for being here. And our Treasurer, Joseph Silva, who's here as well. Thank you, Joseph. And the other members of staff will obviously be introduced as they're making presentations. So I want to thank you, first of all, for coming out this afternoon to be a part of this roundtable. I also want to say thank you to many of the seniors organizations that we have in the city of Markham. There's many seniors groups. Some work independently because of the work that they do. Others work a bit more closely with the city because they're probably using one of our facilities or they're tied in more directly to the programs and services that we provide. But I do want to say thanks to all of the seniors organizations that are in our community because, again, through your leadership, I know that you're connecting to the many seniors in our community, providing that support and making sure that seniors in our community are not isolated. And for all the challenges that perhaps we face, I just say that one of the greatest challenges for seniors, and one that impacts their quality of life, can actually impact their health, is isolation. And so I'm very pleased that so many of the groups in the city are breaking that down and connecting with seniors in our community, because I think that it's extremely important. So thank you to all the seniors groups. I also want to say thanks to all of the seniors, because, you know, when we say thanks to the seniors, it's really recognizing the contributions that you have made over so many years. And whether you and your family have lived here for generations, or whether your family has come in recent history, we know that you have contributed in so many ways. First and foremost, with your own families, supporting them to ensure that, as families do, support each other and make sure that both kids and grandkids can be successful. I want to say thank you for what you have done in our community, because I know many of you, not just now, but many of you for decades, have volunteered your time to make our community strong and be successful. And as we, over the next couple of weeks, begin to recognize as well those who served this country, and some of them made the ultimate sacrifice, I say thank you to all of you, because you truly have made Canada what it is, and you've made what our city of Markham stands for today, and have contributed in so many ways. And the amazing thing is, after you've done all of that, many of you are still volunteering and giving of your time and making a difference in our community. So I just want to mention a couple things before we get on to the more formal presentations. One of them is just what happened here on Monday. I tabled this year's budget, a Markham milestone, Budget 2025. And it is an incredible achievement that I think speaks to successive councils and certainly our staff, but again, the great partnerships that we have in our community. I'm very proud to say that this year, Budget 2025, now marks the fact that we have had the lowest average tax increase in all of the GTA for the past 20 years. And I think that's an incredible accomplishment. And it speaks to, and I think today serves all of us as a reminder that we have people in our community that face financial challenges, and that we need to do what we can to ensure that the taxes are kept low. I'm also very proud of the fact that at the beginning of this term, in my inaugural address, I indicated that we would be providing for a seniors assistance program for their property taxes. Now, again, understanding that we're not the provincial government or the federal government, so our resources are limited, but I would say that we now passed last year, in our budget last year, a new seniors program, and you'll hear a little bit more about this later on, but that provides assistance to low-income seniors in our community, some of whom were already behind in the payment of their property taxes because of their income situation. Our program helps them with those arrears, and then essentially they can sign up to a deferral program, which effectively freezes the tax increases until they sell their home or until the ownership is changed on their home. And again, generally speaking, because every situation is different, but if you have the guaranteed income supplement, then generally speaking, you will qualify for the program. But our staff will provide you some more information. I'm very pleased to say that now we have 71 seniors in our community who signed up for that program, have received that assistance. And the whole idea is really here that for those that want to, and many do, we're trying to keep seniors in their home as long as possible, because that's where they're comfortable, not only because of their home, because of their neighbors, because of their friends, and because of the connection that they have in the community. So that's a very key and important initiative that we had in last year's budget. And I just want to also give a bit of an update, and I'm not sure whether Gail could come out today or whether she's watching online. Hopefully she has an ability to watch online. But Gail Leeds, and among others, over the past few years have been pushing to get a hospice set up in the city of Markham. And I can just tell you that I have been working with 2 or 3 groups to get that done. Unfortunately, as you know, we work towards these things, there's always hiccups. And just recently, the land that they thought they could build the hospice on is not become available. However, thankfully, there's a backup plan for another site, and hopefully they'll be able to get things back on track. But we are working with 2 or 3 groups. And I will say this, that as mayor, I've been very supportive and have arranged meetings, have been advocating down at the province. I think you'll see today that we're going to focus on the services that the city of Markham provides. Hospice is not one of those things that we directly provide, but I'll say that wherever we can, whether it's myself as mayor, members of council, the city of Markham, anything that we can do to sometimes support and advocate for different things, we will do. And I can assure you, I've been strongly advocating for a new hospice to be set up, and hopefully we can get past this most recent hurdle and get that set up. And by way of update, just to let you know where we are with that particular initiative. So this afternoon, and again, as you hear these presentations, I know we're going to get some questions later, specifically maybe to these programs, or we're going to get asked a question about something that the city of Markham doesn't provide for. And I guess we'll kind of clarify where you can perhaps go for that help, or which level of government, the other government representatives you should be contacting. Because sometimes, and I'm very proud of our council, we're here, we're at meetings, we're at community meetings, we're out into the community, we are connected on the ground in many ways. But sometimes, not just seniors, all residents don't understand that certain areas of responsibility are actually the responsibility of other levels of government, and we have to ensure that they're doing what they need to do, but we can be certainly strong advocates of that. So today, you're going to hear about our recreational programs, our age-friendly guidelines that were passed. This is incorporates new standards for new homes and new communities that are being built, so that they are friendly for all ages and abilities. You're going to hear about how we are aiming to get more affordable housing built in the city of Markham. Our window program, which is, again, a program that we've had in place for many years. I remember when I came back to Markham Council, I insisted that that program be free for our seniors. And so, again, if you live alone and you don't have another able body within your home, you can sign up to have the end of your driveway cleared so that you can get out, and you'll hear more details about that. You heard me touch on the seniors deferral program for taxes, and we'll get more information about that. Some of the services that are available through Markham Libraries, and also, when you do have issues, how can you contact the city of Markham? Who do you contact? If you have an issue, where do you go? You'll also hear about those things. And then some of the distinction between some of the local services that we have and also some of the social services that are actually provided at the regional level. So with that, I just want to say thank you to all of you for the contribution you continue to make. And hopefully this afternoon, it will be an enlightening opportunity to hear specifically about what we do and then how we can help if it's a program that we don't provide for. And I would just say for those of you that came in a little later, I know some of you had a chance to visit our booths in the Canada Room. That will be open at the end. For those of you that maybe want to go back and spend a bit more time, or some of you that just came a little later and didn't get a chance to go in there, there's some great information for you there as well. Thank you very much for coming, and with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mary Creighton, our Director of Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to share with you what the program is for the remainder of this session. As the Mayor mentioned, you're going to have presentations on 8 topics. There'll be a brief presentation, 5 minutes at the very most, and then you will have a chance to ask questions specific to each of those items. Certainly, we'll then move on. If there's something that comes up later on, there will be an open question period at the end of all 8 presentations, so certainly you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. And I just want to remind those of you online, if you have a question, at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you will see a Q&A box, and you can type your question into there, and we will see it on the screen. Staff will then transpose it onto the screen so that people can see the question that's being asked. So at this time, I'd like to start with one of my favorite services, only because I am the Director of Recreation Services. I'd like to invite Carrie Wakefield, who is the Manager of Community Recreation Services in the North Region, to come and speak to you about senior programs in recreation.
Thanks, Mary. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see some familiar faces in the crowd. I am going to speak a little bit today on our recreation services. And again, it's quick, high level, but you can go to the next slide. So the first service that we have here, I want to acknowledge a lot of people in the crowd right now who contribute to our seniors clubs. We have 5 very active seniors clubs who are partnered with our recreation services. You can see them up here. Thornhill Seniors Club, the Older Adults in Action, which is based out of our Water Street location. Milliken on the Move, which is primarily based out of Milliken. The Armadale Seniors Club, which is based out of the Armadale area. And the Angus Glen Older Adults Club, which is based out of Angus Glen, which is where I work. These clubs, as of this morning, service 4,157 seniors. And it's growing. It grows every day. The activities that these clubs provide for our residents include things like badminton, tai chi, karaoke, bridge, arts and crafts, and of course, pickleball. And many, many more activities. We honestly could not do it without these clubs. They offer so many services and are really, really involved with volunteers. You can see up here we have a number of over 500 volunteers are involved with these clubs to provide these services, which is really quite incredible. So I want to just take an opportunity to acknowledge the volunteers, and I can see some of them in the crowd right now. So thank you so much for the services that you offer to service these 4,000 people. Thank you very much. I'll give you a little. We can go to the next slide. So for recreation, we also offer some direct services to seniors. All of our adult programs that we offer have a 30% discount. So that includes all of our pre-registered programs as well as all of our drop-ins. So if you want to play pickleball, we have an opportunity there too. Swimming, aqua fitness, everything, our fitness classes, fitness memberships, everything has a 30% discount for seniors. Additionally, we have actually dedicated seniors programs. So you can see on the board here, Cornell has a seniors drop-in program, and they offer coffee talks and mahjong, yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, line dance, and many others. And you can see all of that on our website as well. We also have a grant opportunity. So this is our Celebrate Markham grant that we will actually provide to local seniors groups, and they don't necessarily have to be one of the 5 that I've mentioned. They can be other seniors associations within the city, and they go through an application process, and we provide, I think it's about $3,000 of the grant annually to each of those clubs to help them subsidize programs for the seniors. And as recreation, we're also the lead on the older adults
strategy implementation. So we have been working on that for a number of years to try and make the city even more welcoming. Next slide. So if you are not aware, we have a brand new community center, a NE community center. I suppose it's not that brand new anymore, but our new community center, a NE. A NE has a great program called the Community Hub, which means that it invites local groups and not so local groups to come in and provide their services for free, services and workshops. We have a list here of the ones that are specific to seniors programs, and all of these workshops are available online on the markham.ca website, and it'll show you all of the programs and activities that we have, all of the workshops that we have that are coming up that you can attend for free. And that is all of our seniors programs for recreation. Thank you.
So now we would like to open up to the audience, anybody who wants to ask a question of Carrie or Mary about our seniors recreational activities. Don't be shy. And if you wouldn't mind just saying your first name.
Sure, I will. Hi, my name is Zaina from Munda. I'm from Ward 1, and I have a quick question. I have seen many senior citizens in my community, meaning originally being from Romania. I see many Romanians that they cannot mingle with the others that are Canadian and they know to speak the language. They are Canadian citizens, but they are living in communities. And they do not have, let's call it, cultural life, like mingle together like seniors from the Romanian community. Now, regarding the 3,000 grants that I just see it now, can I actually support them and organize something? Can somebody direct me? How can I help them? I'm a senior also. I'm 66 years old, and I feel that they need to mingle together. And I feel sorry for them because, you know, I take them around, I give them a ride, I do whatever I can, but I cannot support them in the way that they really need. Can you support me with this one? Can you tell me a little bit more? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Perhaps afterwards we could talk a little bit more. There is a process that you go through for the Celebrate Markham grant and some requirements that you have to meet to be able to do that. But I think that's a wonderful idea. If they're working together and they find community within their group, then absolutely. Yeah, let's have a chat afterwards. Yeah.
My name is Anthony. I was on the Senior Advisory Committee at one time before it was discontinued. But my question is more on the older adult strategy because I was really interested. That's why I got into the Senior Advisory Committee at that time. I don't know where can I see any update to the strategy and whether it is any progress that you can share with us.
Yeah, Mary, would you like to answer that question?
I'm going to take that. So we can provide an update, and we'll put that in the information. I'm getting a bit of background. Don't know if it's me.
It should be picture right now.
Maybe I move here. I'll just stand down here then. We can provide an update for you in the information we send out as a follow-up to this, but certainly we're still doing a lot of work on it around design of facilities, programs. We've done a lot of updating based on information available on the website and so on. So we continue to work on the older adult strategy, so happy to share that information with you.
Great.
Okay. So the older adult strategy was completed in 2017. It was very specifically looking at creating an age-friendly older adult community. So it looks at 6 of 8 age-friendly components within the city.
And it made recommendations to look at how to improve services to address age-friendly older adults in our community. So it's a strategy that's sort of talked about from communication, from programming, from design, from all of those lenses.
Okay, we have another question over here.
Hi, my name is Nathan, and I was a member of SAC2. My question is, you mentioned seniors get 30% discount on the programs. Why not 70%?
We are a fees-based system, so we do have users that pay the fees so that we can offer our services. But we do also encourage people to take a look at our seniors clubs, the 5 clubs that we mentioned. The reason is it's a significantly reduced price for the seniors clubs. So there is an option to have a very reduced price if you'd like it. Some programs, yes, yes. Correct. How do we get the number? Based on a budget. We've created a budget based on that. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of factors, and certainly we can look at this. We do, maybe I should stand up, but yeah, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into some of the policies that we have. And so, you know, there's always a balance between, we have not just seniors, but we have many groups in our community that are using our facilities. And there's always a balance between how much of that gets supported from property taxes, because we're trying to keep property taxes low. So, you know, if we kind of said 70% off for seniors, 50% off for young people to keep them off the street, the next thing you know, our property taxes would be going up. And, you know, maybe there's some merit to doing some tweaking with our fees. We've tried to kind of also say when you use our facilities, the people that use our facilities need to be paying something for that. We do compare with other municipalities, and that's something, again, we could go back and see what other municipalities are doing. We typically don't get any funding on a regular basis from the provincial government to support seniors program at the local level. The last one, unless staff can remember, the last one I can remember was actually just, I think last year, about a year and a half ago, we got some funding that allowed us actually to provide free programming at the Markham Museum, thanks to some funding that we got from the provincial government. And so, you know, if there's opportunities like that where we can be supported, it's not, we don't want to charge you, but if we don't charge you, and not just you, I'm getting back to all of our users now, then that has implications to our property taxes. So I would just say, you're going to end up paying one way or another, because, no, I think you know this, nothing is free. We still have to open the facilities, we still have to, you know, the electricity, everything that it takes, and then the staff to provide those programs. So it is always about trying to, in that mix, keep it relatively fair, a fair pricing policy. And then, as I said, you know, I wish we could get some support from other levels of government, because like we did at the museum, we allowed people to come in, and I'm just trying to, there's no one here from the museum, but I think it was the pottery program among some other things, and they also could go in and see the exhibits for free and those types of things. So thanks to the provincial government. You know, I like to give credit where credit is due. We actually were able, I think, for two sessions, be able to provide that program for free to our seniors. So it's noted, but just to say that there has to be a balance in all of this, because ultimately, we have to pay for the programs, one way or another. They're not free. I can assure you, the electricity is not free. The building is not free. The staff or other people that run the programs are not free. So we have to get that money from somewhere. And it's about being fair to all of our users and everyone that is, in fact, supporting a lot of things already through their property taxes that even allow us to give you that 30% reduction on the fee. But it's noted, and we'll continue to look at and see what we can do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One more question.
Yes.
Is there collaboration with the private corporations using the affiliates to bump up this 30% to 50%? It is very fair, but I mean, there are private organizations who deal with the affiliates, places that affiliates name and other corporations who provide service. Is there anything they're doing to have collaboration and see if we can work together for the private organizations?
Sure, and I know our staff also do this. I talked about support from the provincial government for that specific program. But, you know, if we got, now it's not going to offset the cost totally. It may not get it down to 50%. But if we could find a corporate sponsor that wants to be known as supporting X program in a facility, that's an opportunity as well. But it would be more through sponsorship unless a company would donate equipment, for example, that would also allow us to offer programs. So we don't have to pay for the equipment. So then we don't have to recoup the money through the fees. Yeah. So we're looking and have had some sponsorships of some programs that allow us, not specifically just for seniors, but for users of our community centers to be able to enjoy what I think are pretty nice community centers, in Markham. And I'll say I'm very proud in Markham as well. You know, whether you're from Thornhill or anywhere else, we have some new community centers, but our old community centers don't look as old as they really are, because we've reinvested in those communities. And I get people even from outside of Markham who maybe used to live here and say, you know, I used to play at the Thornhill Arena, and I was in there 2 months ago. I can't believe it looks great. And that's because we reinvest. So again, in all of this, I think we want decent, nice places for us to provide those programs. And again, it's always that balance of where we spend, how we spend, and where we get the money from. But we'll let us circle back. We'll do a review, as we always do, to see what is happening in the municipal world across the GTA, but then also to say it has implications, because again, if you don't do it through user fees, you're going to be paying it through property taxes. That's just the reality of it, because it's not free when we do that, okay? So that 30%, just to say, that 30% that seniors get, and I'm okay with this, you know, I'm paying, the young family down the road is paying, they're paying, that 30% didn't disappear. We have the full cost of that program. We're able to offer it to you, and again, I hear your point, can you do more? But we're able to offer it to you because all taxpayers are paying to offset the costs that we have that allow us to give that discount to seniors, okay? But thank you for the question, the point, and we'll get creative, hopefully, to reduce some costs. Okay.
Thank you. We have time for 2 quick questions, and we have our 2 people already lined up to ask them. So quickly, we'll start here.
Hi, my name is June. I'm a contact convener for the MOTM badminton program and also a convener for the pickleball program. Both programs are held at the Armourdale Community Center because there's no gym at Milliken Mills. I would like to thank the city for putting great effort in organizing and providing all these programs. However, there's one serious improvement which I think is important for the safety of all the senior players at the Armourdale Community Center, the North and the South gyms. The problem is the glaring windows at both ends. because of the sun in the morning, that's east and west, and the gym is aligned in the east and west, both ends. The sunlight is so intense that the players have to actually like focus and screen and strain their eyes to see what's coming towards them. And it's a serious concern for me for the safety of the players, especially senior players. Their eyesight is not good at all sometimes. So I would really hope that someone is going to, I have addressed this before years, and nothing came out of it. And I hope something is to be done ASAP for the safety of the players. Put on a sort of covering, an opaque covering. They did put a tint, but it didn't work because the sun is at both ends, east and the west. So actually the sun, in the afternoon, the sun's reflection is on the gym's floor. So you can imagine how glaring it is. It's almost like blinding for the people facing the windows. So I would really wish an opaque covering can be installed at both ends, the east and the west windows, for the safety of all players using the gym.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that forward. We'll take that back, and maybe we can have a little chat afterwards about that one. Okay, thanks.
I have the last question over here. I know some of you still have your hand up. We will have an open session after, but we need to move on with the rest of the presentation. So this is the last question right now.
Yeah, I'm Ulrich from Markham. First thing, I'd like to thank the mayor and his team for putting together this forum for us. They say you can judge a society by how they treat the seniors, and this is an excellent example. I would like to ask, with regards to the cleaning of the snow in front of the yards for seniors, and if it can be done so that the entire driveway is clear rather than just half. I've monitored it, and they take about 5 seconds. So for another 5 seconds, the entire driveway can be clear. It's very important to the seniors. They cannot do it themselves. So because this is Markham, we have a lot of seniors who live with double garage and double driveways. So if that can be done, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to hold that question because we do have a session coming up on Windrow, and we can make sure that that's addressed during that question. So thank you, Carrie. At this point, I would like to introduce Stephen Bell, who is the Senior Manager, Urban Design, and Stephen is going to speak to you on the age-friendly guidelines.
Thank you, Mary, for the introduction. Good afternoon, and thank you, everybody. My name is Stephen Bell. I'm the Senior Manager of Urban Design from the Development Services Commission here at the city, and it's definitely a pleasure to be here today. We work on many projects and initiatives in urban design, but this particular one is one we're quite proud of because it really sets Markham apart from all the other municipalities who have urban design sections and guidelines, and I can say that because I've worked in those other places. So when I came to Markham, I was very impressed by the fact that there was a set of guidelines that was dealing with age friendliness. So I'm here to kind of do a bit of a light walkthrough on what they're about today. Next slide, please. And perhaps a good place to begin is, why did the city embark on the guidelines, and what do we mean by age friendliness? And age-friendly design really refers to the design of the physical environment that addresses the needs of all residents. And we're talking about young children and families to older adults. It's really an inclusive way of thinking about how we develop and how we build the city and our communities. And with our aging population, we also have a need for multi-generational family living, and there's also this shift to higher density and vertical communities, of course. And it was important for Markham to approach city building that embraces these concepts of active aging, aging in place, and accessible communities. Next slide, please. So the guidelines were actually adopted in 2022 and developed through extensive consultation with the public through many open house events. We also involved the Seniors Advisory Committee, the Mayor's Youth Council. We also held interviews with industry experts, and of course, we also had workshops with the development community as well. And the guidelines really provide age-friendly guidance for new and redeveloping communities with a focus on privately owned low-rise, mid-rise, and high-rise residential and mixed-use developments as well. And they're really framed around three themes or scales of development, which entail 1, the neighborhood, 2, the actual building, and 3, the actual unit. And as a planning tool, the guidelines actually help to steer and influence better designs, setting a path for developers, architects, designers, planners, and city staff to follow in dealing with new development applications. Next slide, please. So in walking you very quickly through the 3 themes and examples and thinking about our neighborhoods first, how can we design our neighborhoods to feel safer and walkable? So I'm going to just cite a couple of examples from the guidelines. So if we think about trying to encourage shorter blocks versus ones that are very, very long in suburban areas, they tend to be a little bit perhaps longer than in downtowns and more urban environments. We can actually try and get them a little shorter so they actually feel a little bit more walkable. And that also offers routing options. You've got choice in terms of where you want to go to in terms of, trying to go to your destination on foot. And for larger blocks, we can also advocate for things we call pedestrian connections, which are walkways that are placed at the center of that block to facilitate safe, comfortable, and walkable spaces. And this is really important for older adults and young children who might have mobility challenges. Next slide, please. And thinking about buildings, how can they be designed to support aging in place as well? And some examples from the guidelines recommend such things as ensuring that homes have no-step entrances, meaning that the walkways outside the doors are flush with the actual entrances to support people with reduced mobility. And also thinking about the design of walkways, ensuring that they're wide enough for individuals who are using mobility devices or parents even with young strollers who are pushing young children is another example. And of course, providing a bedroom and a bathroom on the main floor of a dwelling, this allows for flexibility and provides people with a choice to continue living safely and independently in their home and community. Next slide, please. And last, thinking about the actual unit in a building, what kind of features can support independence and healthy aging? Some of the guidelines within the document encourage developers to design with future-proofing in mind to promote healthy aging within the home of the occupant. And I can think of some examples entailing vertical circulation in terms of how you get from one floor to the other. So we encourage designers and developers to think about designing stairs in a straight run rather than having bends or curves. In this way, it can support the incorporation of stair lifts or platform lifts so that people can move between floors in their units. Also thinking about the potential for locating an elevator spatially within that unit so that people can actually move between different rooms or between different floors. So those are some of the different examples within the guidelines. There's many, many more we could talk about, but just to kind of give you a bit of a flavor today. Next slide, please. So since being adopted by Council in 2022, the guidelines have been implemented through the city's planning process, negotiating with development proponents on a project-by-project basis. And in doing so, the guidelines not only raise the bar on inclusive design, but set out the city's expectation on age friendliness in our communities and homes. And as I conclude my short presentation today, I'd just like to mention that there's more information on our guidelines if you want to actually consult the city's website, because there's a link on there where you can actually pull the guidelines down and actually go through them to get a sense of what the actual content there is within the actual document. So I think that's it for today. Thank you all very much for your time, and I'm happy to entertain a couple questions if there are any. So.
Thank you, Stephen. Is there any questions for Stephen on the age-friendly guidelines? I have one here.
Lorraine? This is the guidelines. What percentage of
developers are actually doing work?
So it is a fairly new initiative, and of course, it takes a little bit of educating, inspiring, working with them. Every development application is a negotiation at the end of the day. However, we're actually seeing results on the ground, and I was asking my staff just the other day, you've been working with the guidelines for a little while. What are you seeing in terms of approvals or things that you're negotiating? So we're getting things like improved connectivity, barrier-free sidewalks, ramp installations on buildings, natural surveillance, so that's making sure that windows are looking onto spaces that maybe perhaps without the windows they felt unsafe, but now at least there's a bit of oversight. So that's a safety factor we're seeing in some of the results. Incorporation of secondary suites is also something we're seeing in our negotiations. So it depends on the developer. It's a case-by-case basis, but we are seeing success. And I was actually very impressed by what I heard from the staff. So
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Just one more. We have the federal government giving some money out for housing development or for senior housing development. Is there any way we can get some of that money then to Markham to help do more of this?
So we actually, there's different programs that are out there. One of the programs we did get money for was the Housing Accelerator Fund. We got $57 million. And so our application to the federal government covered different things for that money. Some of it was upgrading our technology when applications come in. Some of it will be to directly flow money to particular groups that want to build nonprofit or affordable housing. So we are using some of that money. The $57 million, I know it sounds like a lot of money, and exactly, it's not. One project, if you were to build, let's say, 40, 50 units of affordable housing units, you wouldn't be able to build it for that much money. So this is to help facilitate other groups who will also apply to different programs, and we are using that money to be able to do that. And just if it isn't clear already, when Stephen says it's about negotiating with builders, well, we have, and as he said, we're a leader in this, have these guidelines, and we are putting them forward to builders. We don't have any legislation that forces them to be able to provide these things, but they understand. They understand that our community is evolving, that people, needs change as a family matures, so they're trying to provide more flexible space that may suit a family when they have young kids, but also the ability to alter that space with some, putting some of the plumbing in that would allow a bathroom or a bedroom on the main floor that eventually could be easily converted to be able to meet the changing needs of a family, and hopefully, again, as I said, keep people in their home longer.
And I have one more question, and then we will move on to the next session.
Is there any possibility that people could convert their homes, for example, put in a bathroom and the living bedroom, for the existing plan?
Yep.
If there's possibility that it could convert to your new concept?
So that sounds more of an existing situation, like a renovation or an alteration to building. I mean, we've got folks here on staff in the buildings division who can provide some guidance around how best to do that. But sure, I think these changes take place all the time within homes in terms of trying to move things around to create additional space or an additional bedroom. So, but there is building code issues. I mean, perhaps to consider, but that's a possibility. The guidelines here specifically speak to new development. So we're trying to catch it in the early planning and design stages. Yeah.
So that would be a separate process where if you do want to make alterations to your home, as Stephen said, depending how what it is exactly you want to do, there's nothing that prevents you from putting a bed in a room. You don't need any approvals from us. But if you're looking to do a bathroom, usually it's plumbing, usually it's changed to the heating and cooling system. Those types of things typically need approval by us. So, I don't know, maybe Stephen can direct, someone that you could speak to if you're contemplating that. The other thing I wanted to let you know, it's not a lot of money, but both the federal and provincial government gives you tax credits for those renovations. So you should be checking that as well, because it won't cover the costs, of whatever it is that you want to do, but could help a little bit, because you'll actually, through your income tax return, be able to submit your bills, and you'll be able to get tax credit on those costs. Again, they recognize they too want to keep seniors in their home as long as they want to stay. Okay, so you should check that out as well.
Great. Thank you. And I'd like to thank Stephen for your presentation. At this time, I'd like to invite to the podium Duran Wedderburn. Duran is the manager of policy in our planning and urban design department, and he's going to speak briefly on affordable housing.
Thank you for the introduction, Mary, and good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see all these lovely faces in the audience. So as Mary said, my name is Duran Wedderburn, and I'm the manager of policy at the City of Markham. I'm here today to talk to you about the city's efforts to support a diverse range and mix of housing options, including affordable and rental housing opportunities. So a little bit about what my team does. So the City of Markham has an official plan which sets out Council's vision for how growth and development should proceed to meet the needs of the community. This includes dealing with issues such as housing, industry, offices, shops, and supporting services such as services, amenities, roads, parks, and schools. Through the official plan, Council has provided direction to staff to develop a strategy to increase affordable housing options by working with partnerships with a diverse range of stakeholders to support the housing continuum. So before I go further, just want to note what we mean by housing continuum. So housing is provided on a spectrum. I know you can't really see it on the slide there because it's covered by the closed caption, but it ranges from homelessness all the way to market-based housing. And this includes social services, community services, and also affordable housing. So when we refer to affordable housing, we're referring to housing that has a minimum threshold in Markham of about $500,000, and affordable rental being about $1,300 to $2,300. You compare and contrast this with the average price of a resale home in Markham, which is well over $1 million, and you can see why there is a need for more affordable options. So due to some of these housing and current market economic challenges, the city has committed to playing a role in finding housing solutions. In 2021, Markham Council endorsed Housing Choices, Markham's affordable and rental housing strategy. The purpose of the strategy was to identify current and emerging housing needs in Markham, particularly as it relates to affordable rental and home ownership opportunities. The 2021 study found that 1 in 3 Markham residents have affordability issues, and 1 in 5 Markham residents are spending more than 50% of their income on housing. In direct results to these findings, the strategy identified 3 goals for the City of Markham to address these needs. These goals include increasing the supply of affordable rental options, stimulating the development of affordable home ownership options, and expanding the supply of purpose-built rental. So to support the goals, 35 actions were developed across 5 thematic areas to address the need. I won't go through all of the actions, but I'll just flag a few for your key interests. So action number 30 is partnerships, and you've heard a lot about partnerships today, but this is one of the most important actions, as the City of Markham doesn't build homes, but rather we work with the builders, government, stakeholders to facilitate the development of homes and also the creation of complete communities. Since 2021, the city has worked with our development partners through development applications to secure the commitment of 186 affordable or below market housing units. Staff are always looking for opportunities to partner with different stakeholders to support our city building objectives. So you heard the mayor speak a little bit about negotiations earlier, but we're always active in the space of trying to secure community building benefits through applications. Action number 29, advocacy to senior levels of government for funding. Everyone has a role to play to bring units to Markham. This includes federal and provincial governments who no longer build units, but offer an opportunity through funding to support incentivizing and bridging the gap for affordability. The city has been working through different forums, such as the Association of municipalities of Ontario, the federal Canadian municipalities, as well as the Big City Mayors Caucus to work with our different stakeholders and partners to continue advocacy efforts for increased funding to support good housing outcomes. This includes both at the federal and provincial level, and I'll touch upon this at the last slide. And action number 10, supporting government projects. York Region is the housing service manager for Markham and the lower tier municipalities in Markham. They support the delivery and funding and administration of social housing and housing along the continuum. The city has worked closely with Housing York to support the approval and development of various housing projects. This includes 265 units of purpose-built rental housing, including 40 barrier-free units for a seniors-only community. The project is known as Unionville Commons. And finally, back to advocacy. So I know the mayor spoke briefly about it previously, but as a part of a national housing strategy, the federal government has introduced a $4 billion federal program to help municipalities accelerate building housing, including affordable. The city was successful in an application to secure $58 million to increase our housing supply over 3 years. The city's housing action plan aligns with our strategy and looks to bring forward key programs on public partnerships and incentive programs for affordable housing that will deal and support the city in achieving its project outcomes. This is an exciting opportunity for the city, and the funding will advance the city's efforts to work with our partners to deliver affordable housing in Markham and also advance the affordable and rental housing strategy. Future updates on the program and deliverables will be going to council in the near term by the end of the year. So that's a quick overview of the city's efforts on affordable housing, and I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thanks, Duran, for the presentation. Can we kick things off with a question received? What are the most pressing housing needs in our community?
Ooh. That's a good one. That's a good one. So I'll say in 2019, the city undertook a housing needs assessment, and it's a study that basically looks at what are the current and emerging housing needs across the municipality. So I mentioned some of those key steps earlier in the presentation, leading to affordability being one of the largest factors. The reality is that housing prices are increasing faster than incomes, and some folks are on fixed incomes as well. So it really is an issue about supply and us needing to have the availability of the supply to get units built to support providing housing options and choices for folks. But the critical piece here is that the city is not a builder, so we really have to work with partnerships, senior levels of government, not-for-profits, to ensure that we can get those units built and delivered. And the housing strategy that the city has put together really responds to those current needs. And I'll just do a quick plug that the city is about to undertake an update to our housing needs assessment, so we will be going back out to stakeholders to really get a sense of what are the current needs and what are the emerging needs for our community so that we can ensure that our strategy is aligned with the needs of the community.
Quick answer, I know that was a great answer. The quick answer is we need all kinds of housing. And so just a couple things, we have been supportive of increasing the housing supply. Markham Council, City of Markham, committed to 44,000 new units in the next 10 years. I can tell you that year one, we didn't hit our goal, and I want to explain this. Development is cyclical, and it's cyclical for many reasons. If you'd come to the City of Markham, or you were here, but if you were looking at what the City of Markham was doing even 10 years ago, probably many of you would have had the impression, oh my gosh, Markham is growing really fast. And we were providing more housing back then because the infrastructure underground that you don't see, so that is the water and sewer infrastructure needed for those new homes, had been installed, had been put in place. And now for the next period of growth, we need new infrastructure to be put in the ground. So that takes time to both design and build that infrastructure. And so when that gets in place, at some point you're going to see new neighborhoods take off. It's a little frustrating because I think we, back in 2014, we passed our official plan that designated the new areas for growth. And up until recently, I used to be able to say, and this is how bad it is, we did our part, we approved the area for new growth, but it had been over a decade that there had been no new families move in to their new home. I can't say that anymore because Mattamy just finished, I think, close to 200 homes up on Elgin Mills. But that's just such a small portion of how much has been approved for housing. And I guess the other part that I'll say when I say we need all kinds of housing, the nonprofit affordable housing sector, we need the other levels of government to be able to support that. Unfortunately, a number of years back, the federal government got out of nonprofit housing, supporting nonprofit housing, and we're paying the price for that because now we have people with low incomes, we have seniors that, although they might want to, can't stay in their homes, and they don't have anywhere else to go to. So we are collectively as municipalities pushing the federal and provincial government to put in place additional dollars to create more of that nonprofit housing. And there have been some dollars allocated, but they haven't been flowing to get the actual homes built yet. So the answer is we need all kinds of housing to be built in this community to deal with people that will want to buy their first home and others that need different type of housing in the community.
Okay, and we're going to take our last question on this, and then we're going to move on to winter time.
I understand, I don't know if it's true, that the city of Toronto has removed the restriction on people renting their basement. So I'm just wondering, I know that the city of Markham has various restrictions and rent for people renting their basement. So I just want to know if the city of Markham has any has lifted any of their restrictions on the rental of their basement.
So I can kind of take that in a sense of one of the items that's actually we're operating through the HAF program is looking at what we're calling additional residential units, which does explore the potential for additional units to be added to people's property. So that would include potentially a rental unit in the basement or an accessory dwelling on the property. So staff are doing the evaluation to see if that's something that we can consider in the city of Markham, and what the policies would be about providing that opportunity. So that's something that we are looking for through the Housing Accelerator Fund, because it is one of the items that we identified in our housing strategy as an opportunity to potentially increase the supply of housing in the community and offer another option or opportunity for residents.
So that work, we'll look at whatever guidelines and policies we need in place. So a couple of things. We never totally restricted, I know you said basement apartments, but a second unit. What you had to do, our official plan permitted them, what you had to do is apply to the Committee of Adjustment to get that zoning specific to your property. And I understand that that costs a few $1,000s to do, but we never said you couldn't have them. You had to apply, and the reason in part that we did that, and I think you can appreciate that, every house is somewhat different, lots are different, and it was a way of also having your neighbors. So if you were going to put in a basement apartment and put in a separate entrance, having your neighbors the ability to come out and say, you know, if that's going to happen, can we have the entrance situated over here? Have some regard to your neighbors. Now the provincial government has allowed, as of right, up to 3 units per property. However, you know, just before you start getting any ideas, when you come in and apply, just like we said you had to apply if you wanted to alter your main level to put in washrooms and do that type of thing. To do those 3 units, you would have to apply, and we've had a few people come in wanting to do that, but once they saw how much money they would have to bring, how much money they would have to spend to achieve the building code and the fire code, because again, we have to make sure these units are safe. When they saw the cost associated with that, they didn't pursue the additional units. So you are allowed to add units to your property, but they're subject still to building code and fire code to be able to do it. And again, stick around and we can get you some more information if you're thinking of adding another unit to your house.
Thank you, Duran. And as I promised, we're now moving on to snow, and I'd like to, at this point, invite Stephen Dahlmeyer, who is the Senior Manager of Roads and Fleet, to speak to you on windrow removal. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mary, for the introduction. It's a great day out there, beautiful weather, and we're going to talk about snow now. So we'll go, 23 degrees. Next slide. So what is a windrow or a snow windrow? A snow windrow refers to the pile of snow left across the end of the driveway created by the snowplow when it is clearing the road. Windrows are unavoidable as the snow is being plowed from the center of the road to the curb. About the program that we offer here at the city. The City of Markham offers a windrow removal to residents who are eligible for assistance in removing their snow windrow. The intent of the program is to make the driveway passable, so operators remove only 1 car width of snow windrow after a 7.5 snowfall event, 4 hours after the front-facing street has been plowed. Sidewalk windrows are not part of this windrow program. Next slide. Okay, so how do we qualify for the program? To qualify for the snow windrow program, residents must meet one of the following requirements. Must be 60 years of age or older and live alone with a person less than 12 years of age. If less than 60 years old of age, a current valid doctor's certificate to proof of inability to remove the windrow. City windrow program began in 1996 with the eligibility reduced from 65 to 60 in 2008. City windrow program has reduced from the 8 hours that it used to be to now 4 hours after front-facing street is done. That was adopted in council of 2022. With the new contract that's being started up this year, as of the next few days, we'll be going into our new winter season contract. We've moved from 30 windrow machines now to 61 windrow machines to meet the 4-hour threshold that was been adopted. These pieces of equipment are now ranging from backhoes and actual pickup trucks with wings. Next slide. Is there any questions? Try and get time back quick.
That's actually my job now. Are there any questions? So we did have a question earlier, and your question earlier was about removing 2 car widths. Is that correct? Right. Remove the whole thing versus one.
Yeah. So in regards to the double driveways, the reason why we only do 1 width of the road or the driveway is to make it passable, because as we've got over 8,000 windrows currently in our system with the 61 pieces of equipment, they do come in, drop the blade, push it out to make sure that it's passable for residents to leave out of their driveway to continue on with their lives.
We do also, Mary, have a question. I often get a windrow from my sidewalk plows. Why doesn't the city remove that too?
That's a great question. The windrow removal program only removes snow from the end of the driveways. The 2 operations are not connected because they are 2 different separate projects that are looked after by the city. So all we do is we only look after the ones that we apply for from the road.
Hi there, maybe I can help. My name is Alice Lam, I'm the Director of Operations. So under the Ontario legislation, the roadway maintenance requirement is quite different from the sidewalk. So which is why our senior manager provided that the timing is very different. And so when we dispatch for the windrow driveway removal, it's oftentimes different timing from the sidewalk. And the sidewalk oftentimes from different subdivision to different subdivision, the sidewalk could be further up or could be closer to the curb line. So the operation is not as simple as just removing it. And the windrow, usually the sidewalk width is 1.5 meter. That's why the windrow created from the sidewalk width is also less.
Problem is that we have, for example, a company that is doing the snow blowing, and they clean up, and they make it nice and clean, even on I'm sorry. So what happens, we hire a company to clean up the driveway, and they do that. But the time that they do, later on, the city is coming and damage everything.
That is the timing that the contractor, the private contractor will need to take into consideration in account. And
so how do I tolerate that?
And our service level for sidewalk is that our commitment is after 5 centimeters within 24 hours. And we are happy to share this information. It's all online. Private contractor will be able to access to our information.
Mary, we have one last question from the audience, and then we have an online question.
I'm glad that I'm over 60. I'm eligible for this windrow removal program. But my question is, I was in another presentation this morning in Richmond Hill, and Richmond Hill is doing that for all houses, like for all properties in Richmond Hill. Is Markham planning to do that for all the other house owners?
The answer is no. First of all, I want to see your birth certificate, because I don't believe you're 60. And by the way, you said you're 66. You're not a senior. I just want to let you know that. Okay. The answer is no, and we've gone through this on many occasions with members of council and with our staff. It would cost us considerable dollars to introduce that, and we've actually surveyed our residents, asked if they would support. I'm trying to remember now the total increase. Maybe you can, if you have it handy, just provide that. But it's significant dollars, would be a significant tax increase, and residents do not support. I know when the snowfall comes, we probably ask them that hour, they'd probably say yes. But on reflection, when they, related to all of the services that the community wants, this is not a top priority for taxpayers in our community. If Alice or someone has got those dollars, we can tell you roughly what it costs, roughly what the tax increase would be. And when we mention that tax increase, that's on top of whatever the increase is for that year. So this year it's 3.88%. Alice will remind me in a second just what that tax increase would be. That would be on top of that. So number one. Number two, and I don't know how well it works in Richmond Hill. Maybe it works beautifully. I don't know. But I can tell you that in other communities, people get very frustrated from this point of view. They pay the additional dollars, and then they want that windrow cleared as soon as possible. And that's physically not possible because you have the plows that have to go and do the street, and then to clear the windrows, you have to have other machinery that comes behind those plows, and they are not going to move as fast as the snow plow does because they have to carefully, without damaging, if they didn't care about property and damage everything, well, they could go a lot faster. But when they clear it, they have to put the blade up and down to clear those windrows. And so it takes more time, more equipment, and it's not done anywhere near as quickly as the roads are cleared in our community. So actually what happens is, I know I can't speak to Richmond Hill because I haven't had the time to look into it, but the number of complaints that the municipality gets goes up dramatically, and we're having to spend time and resources telling people, no, wait, it'll get there. It's not going to get there in the next half hour. But because people pay that extra money, they expect it to be done, within a half hour, and that's just not feasible, because then it would cost you way more to have it done at that level of service. But Alice, if you've got the figures.
So we have gone through council with the review, and the cost estimate is $4.6 million, but in addition to the 4.6 million, is also land acquisition cost. Because imagine all the snow that we remove from the driveway, now we need to physically haul it away and buy a dump site, another land to dispose of this snow. So that is an additional land acquisition cost. And one good thing about Markham is that a lot of municipalities, they offer the senior windrow removal program. They also have a cap. In the city of Markham, we do not have a cap. So the number now is over 8,000. Senior or medical required assistant residents are able to enjoy our assistance. And so not every single resident will get it, but then we're able to budget to help our senior with this regard.
I have a question. May I ask if there's no time?
If we can hold it till later, at this time, there is one online. Stephen, why can't I have my rear laneway access included for window clearing?
So the city of Markham has many rear lanes within the city boundaries. The rear lanes are cleared by loaders and not plows. So when we use our loaders on those rear lanes, there's little to no snow left behind. So we are always picking it up and moving it to the next location.
Thanks for that. So thank you, Stephen, very much, to talk about windows. So we are going to make a quick change of staff at this desk out. I'm going to ask, because I'm in Recreation Services, everybody to stand up if you're able. You're taking a stretch break right now, whether you like it or not. Okay, just roll those arms, take a break. We've got other presentations for you. We don't want anybody to leave. Give your shoulders a roll. Say hello to your neighbor. Okay. Thank you for that. If you want to have a seat again, hopefully we're not going to lose anybody in the break. 5 minutes. This is a quick 5. It's metric 5. Your friend. All right. Thank you for that. At this time, I would like to invite to the podium to speak on seniors' tax deferrals, Belinda Ching. Belinda is works in the tax and assessment policy analyst. So thank you.
Yeah, move this all the way down. So good afternoon, folks. My name is Belinda, and I am the tax and assessment policy analyst.
Everyone, if we could just, I know some people are wanting to hear the presentation. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I am the tax and assessment policy analyst here at the City of Markham. There is a lot of information to cover in a very short amount of time, so I'm going to try to go through as much as I can. This presentation is not only on tax deferrals, but it also includes property tax assistance programs as well. I'm just going to wait for my slides. Hold on. That one's perfect, thank you. So all residential property owners are required to pay property taxes. Property taxes, as we may or may not know, are calculated based on your assessed value of the property multiplied by the tax rate. And while the municipality is responsible for the setting of the tax rate, the assessment of your property is actually determined by MPAC, which is the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. The table we have shown above will indicate how the property taxes are split up between the city, the region as well as the provincial, which is the education portion, of a home, which is a value of $831,500. That's about the average value of a home in Markham. Next slide. So property taxes do fund numerous city services, including recreation, fire and emergency services, parks, as well as winter maintenance, which we just spoke about. To simplify how the tax dollar is spent, we have provided a graph to show how $1 funds municipal services as well as activities. And while Markham continues to grow and thrive, we are proud to say that moving into 2025, we have reached a milestone of being the lowest property tax increase over 20 years. So I know that Mr. Mayor had touched on that earlier today, and I'm more than happy to just reiterate it as well. Next slide, please. So over the next few slides is a compilation of government programs, government property tax assistance programs that are provided at each government level. So that's the provincial, regional, as well as the local government, City of Markham. Next slide. With the province of Ontario, Ontario provides the Senior Homeowners Property Tax Grant. This offers up to $500 each year, depending on your adjusted family net income, so long as you or your spouse meet the listed criteria. The grant is paid out the same way as your income tax refund or any other benefits. Now, because this is an Ontario program, you will need to contact the Government of Ontario to apply, or if you have further questions. Next slide. The program that York Region provides is administered through the City of Markham, and this is a tax deferral. This tax deferral applies to both seniors as well as persons with disabilities. The program defers your annual property tax increase. So what that means is if this year your property taxes are $5,000 and next year your property taxes are $5,200, if you apply and you're qualified for the deferral, you will be receiving a loan of $200 that is applied to your property tax account. This loan does not need to be paid back right away. It'll be paid back at the transfer of your property or when you decide to sell. If you do have any questions about this, because it is administered through the City of Markham, the tax department is more than happy to help you sort that out if that's something you're interested in. Next slide. The City of Markham, we have adopted a new program as of May of this year. It is the Low Income Senior Property Tax Assistance Program, which we are very, very proud to have introduced. This program is comprised of 3 parts: an interest-free repayment plan, late payment forgiveness once that payment plan has been established. As well, we will freeze your property tax increase until the property is sold. If you or your spouse are over 65 years of age as of January 1st, 2024, are the owner and occupant of a residential property in Markham, receiving GIS as of the submission year, and do not have property tax arrears over 3 years, then you may qualify. Applications are available on the city website or by visiting the tax counter. As well, they will be available next door at our booth if you'd like to visit us later on today. Next slide. I'm also briefly going to go through a couple of other assistance programs that are here to help with our seniors. Through Electra, which is the hydro company, you may qualify for the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, which could result in up to a credit of $650. The Ontario Electricity Support Program can also help with your electricity bill by providing up to a credit of $51 per month. Enbridge, which is your gas company, does offer the Golden Age service. This is a service where you are able to pay your gas bill when your pension comes in, not when the due date is indicated on the bill. And there are no late payments involved with that. Lastly, York Region does have a fare capping system, but I will let York Region discuss that with you today. I do want to conclude by saying that the City of Markham Tax Department is always here to help. We do have an online portal. Next slide. Oh, perfect, that's good. We do have an online portal that is available as well if you do prefer to do things a little bit more independently as well as conveniently through the comforts of your own home. If you have any questions at all about property taxes, property tax assistance, feel free to visit us next door after the presentations are done for today.
Thank you, Belinda. Belinda, the first question that we received is, do both my spouse and I have to be over 65 to qualify for the low-income seniors property tax assistance program?
No, you do not both have to be over 65. As long as one of you are over 65, then the application can be processed.
And how does someone provide proof of GIS for the low-income seniors property assistance program?
Yeah, so we can accept proof of GIS by either a letter from Service Canada, which they are more than happy to provide to you upon request. Additionally, we can take your T4A OAS. We just ask that you blur out your social insurance number.
And do people have to pay interest on the deferred amount?
They do not have to pay any interest on the deferred amount. So if we are deferring $200 this year, $300 next year, when you do pay it back the third year in, it'll only be the $500 principal.
Any other questions on this program from people in the room? Oh, we have a question over here.
Thank you very much. Actually, I have some residents ask me a question that if the senior is living with their kids, would they be qualified for this program, or the house has to be under the senior's name, or maybe it's a co-ownership between the parents and their children? Would they be qualified as well? So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So the property does need to be under the ownership of the senior. It can be co-ownership, but the senior does need to be listed as one of the owners.
Belinda, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. I would now like to invite... Yes, please.
It applies to everything today, but if you know a neighbor who is receiving the GIS, let them know about this program, because this is, we want to offer them help. So we don't want to wait till they get into tax arrears. If you know someone, low income, they're getting the GIS, let them know about the program. So spread that word, okay? Thank you.
Well, they don't have to pay anyway.
The deferral they'll have to pay when the transfer, like if their kids get the home, they'd have to pay, or when they sell the home, but they don't have to take it out of pocket now. They have to pay their property taxes, but not the increases. Yeah.
All right. We have one more.
Hi, my name is Alaika, and somewhere along the line previously, I saw that the city has a income tax program. So this topic of the referral of the property taxes and the proof of the GIS can also be told to the seniors at the time when they're doing their income tax. Can it not be done then? Because the tax preparer, if it's being done through the city of Markham, will also be able to tell if the senior is getting a GIS. Make sense?
Yes, so with income tax, that would be with the province. The city of Markham, we don't deal with any of the income taxes, but I think maybe Mr. Manson can step in here.
That was a great question.
That was, at the time of doing the income tax preparation, have the ability then to inform the senior. You have the ability to inform the senior of this program.
100%. The point you're making is a great question and a great point. I just want to clarify one part. The province of Ontario and their property tax grant that they're providing, that is completed through the income tax process. To your point about informing seniors and providing alternative marketing tactics to make sure that they're aware of it, the City of Markham undertakes a robust communication plan, and what the mayor was referring to right now is just, ad hoc marketing when you're talking to your neighbors or to your extended family members. Just make people aware of it. But this is really directed towards property tax relief that is not completed through the income tax process. So we just want to, ensure that all property owners in the City of Markham, young or old, that are aware of it, that can help us spread the message.
The question was, is it possible to help people understand if they are eligible, if they are, have the GIS?
So to that point, as you would have saw in your final tax bill that you received this year in June, we did include some information regarding that for all eligible seniors that could be potentially eligible for this program. We included some marketing material in there, and we also sent a direct letter to each individual over the age of 65 that may have an opportunity or may be interested in this program. But unfortunately, throughout the year, circumstances change for all residents. So maybe at the time when we reached out, they weren't looking for assistance, but here we are today in November almost, and they may require some form of assistance.
All right, thank you so much. We are going to move on at this time, and I'd like to thank you very much on the tax deferral information. I'd like to invite Catherine Bitts, who is the CEO of the Markham Public Library.
It's my pleasure to be here today. It's wonderful to see all of you. Markham Public Library knows that social isolation is one issue that can negatively impact seniors' health and well-being. That's one reason the library is so invested in programs and services that support seniors' needs for both information and connection. And it's my pleasure to introduce Andrea Cicchetto, our Director of Service Excellence, to come in and tell you a bit about some of those programs and services.
That's great. Thank you very much. And I would also like to say how much of a pleasure it is to be here and to see all of you. I hope you're having a good afternoon. So I'll just mention a little bit of some of the programs that we have at the library on an ongoing basis that have seniors in mind. And so as you can see on the slide above, we offer a range of programs on all sorts of different topics that really help to address different kinds of interests and needs that might be of interest to the seniors community. So certainly lots of things in the area of health and wellness, looking at, again, social isolation, as Catherine spoke to, as well as digital literacy. And this is something that is increasingly a real passion and priority from Markham Public Library, and I'll speak more to that in a moment. We also have events that run on an annual basis that are an opportunity for us to come together with seniors in our community to celebrate and typically to enjoy beautiful weather. We have our annual tea that happens in June, I think, at the beautiful Thornhill Village Library out in the gardens, which are actually volunteer maintained. So different events that happen that create an opportunity for our communities to come together. You can advance the slide for me. Thank you. A lot of the programming that we do for older adults we do in partnership with other city departments as well as other agencies and organizations in the community. We have, as you can see, our ongoing partnerships. Those are just a few examples of partners that we have worked with or continue to work with that support the programming that we do for seniors. We also constantly try to cultivate new opportunities. And so some of the things that we're hoping to happen in 2025 with the Unionville Home Society, for instance, is launching a program using virtual reality to support seniors who may be experiencing dementia. There's lots of really interesting research about how valuable immersion into virtual worlds can be for things like memory and cognition. And so that's something that we're looking at developing as a volunteer-led program in collaboration with the Unionville Home Society. On the topic of volunteer opportunities, that's something else that we're looking into, recognizing the importance of opportunities to be involved in the community, to give back, perhaps for folks who are starting to think about career transition. And some of that will look at intergenerational programming as well, so that we have the opportunity not just to support community members, but to invite community members of different ages to collaborate with each other. The other thing that we're hoping to be involved in is a national program to develop a digital literacy training framework for libraries across Canada. And so this is something that if we're part of a project that if our funding is successful, Markham will be able to support efforts by lending some of our leadership and experience in this area to the benefit of seniors using libraries across the country. So that's a very exciting initiative for us as well. So I'll just mention two programs that are kind of new to us and that will be ramping up this year as well. In 2024, we launched a digital literacy initiative for older adults, specifically hoping to target older adult newcomers as well, so folks who would benefit from some support using technology to potentially connect and socially interact. This was a program where we actually lent iPads to a cohort of learners who would come together and go through 4 weeks of curriculum that was developed by our staff in collaboration with a community organization called Connected Canadians. The topics ranged from basic how to use different aspects of the technology, straight through to cybersecurity, anti-fraud, identifying opportunities for e-commerce if you like to shop online, and looking at, again, opportunities to identify and evaluate news and information independently and be mindful of things like fake news and social media algorithms. So this is something that we are starting to roll out across all of our branches this year, and we'll be running those workshops as sort of independent sessions as well, including online through the winter months. And the last thing I'll mention, again, with a focus on supporting individuals experiencing cognitive decline, we're launching a program called the Dementia Friendly Library. And this is looking at specifically using our makerspace technologies, so things like our 3D printers, our digital media labs that have different kind of audio-visual editing softwares to create essentially opportunities for storytelling and collaboration with caregivers for individuals who are experiencing dementia. So this is a project that will be rolling out across each of our branches. And again, introducing some folks to new technologies that they might not have otherwise explored. So that's something else that's exciting that will be coming up in the new year. I think at this point, my next slide, if I'm not mistaken, is just the prompt for questions. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions? No, we have one up there.
Thank you. All these programs are beautiful programs, but how are these communicated to the seniors who use these programs? I'm a big fan of libraries. The other day I went to the library at Angus Glen. I was amazed to see the programs and the facilities they have for the seniors. When I come back and talk to the people I deal with, and nobody knew about these programs. Nobody knows you can add a video camera. Nobody knew you can be trained to use a video camera. So how are you communicating these programs to the seniors? And how, if you are, how many people have you communicated in what communities? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate your kind words about the library. I also thank you for the question. It's a really excellent point. Obviously, programs are only as good as people know that they exist. And so we do have a few different communication channels that we use through the library itself. We do have a regular e-newsletter that promotes different events, and of course through our website and other social media tools. We also make use of different print channels as well, and something that has been very successful for us for especially large-scale programs is being able to collaborate with the City of Markham to have advertisements throughout different community facilities as well as sort of roadside on some of the big billboards. But one of the most powerful ways I think that we connect with seniors specifically is through some of those partners that I mentioned. So again, working with different seniors activity centers, Carrie in her presentation listed several that we work with, as well as some of our community partners that work in different areas of support for seniors. We also have a team of staff that are, their work is primarily out in the community so that they have a chance to meet folks who may not be library users yet, wherever they are in the community. And that's an opportunity to sort of talk about some of these programs as well. I'm happy to discuss further with you if there's specific suggestions that you'd have for us as well, because I think one of the most powerful opportunities to get message across, of course, is word of mouth as well. And so being able to connect with anyone here today would be a great opportunity to talk about how it's best to reach you and your community, so you don't have to necessarily wait to come into the library to find out about these events. Thank you. Yes, please.
Okay, I have one question over here.
Hi, thank you. My name is Dennis Lam. I have a question. The pool is a great program, but a lot of seniors, they in the area, especially in those communities, they don't speak very well in English. So will you be able to offer this kind of program with their language? Say, for example, that lady said her community have people that don't speak good English, they cannot communicate. So if they can borrow the iPad and learn all this stuff, borrow the electronic books from the library, which is definitely a benefit for everyone.
Yes, thank you. That's a great question as well. And the short answer is yes, we do offer programs in different languages. So we do have the information about the most common languages spoken in Markham, outside of English, of course, and do attempt to program in those languages. And so again, I'm going to talk about our community partners that provide support with that in some cases. We also have a diverse staff that are able to deliver some of this curriculum themselves. And so things like the programs I mentioned here, very often we do have different versions of the same program that's offered in different languages. We try to pair them to the community where that language is spoken most frequently as well. But we also look at some of our resources and services in the branch as well. And so you mentioned ebooks, making sure that we have collections available that have access to international titles. We have different kinds of databases that provide access to international newspapers, for instance. So making sure that our collections are also providing access to a balance of multilingual products. In some cases, so we do also, across most of our branches, offer programs for individuals who are also seeking to learn English as well. So we do have, for example, ELL programs, English language learning programs, at a lot of locations. And different things that are tailored to non-English speaking audiences that are looking for support in their settlement experience. So again, if there's specific programs that you're interested in or sort of suggestions about how we might be able to connect with non-English speaking community members, then I'd be really happy to have a conversation with you as well.
Thank you, Andrea. Just a reminder to our online audience that if they do have a question, they can submit it through the question and answer button at the bottom right hand of their screen. It has a question mark on it. So do please submit your questions. Mary, we do have time for two very quick questions. I have one person here, and then I think you have one.
Hi, I have a big question.
Okay.
I don't know if it's possible or not, and this is, call it archaic. I want, if it's possible, to narrow down for the senior citizens that are speaking or not speaking English a line where they do not have to use all this technology. And I tell you why. I meet so many people that they want to do certain things and they cannot go to the task, for example, to Q-scan or to other things. Forget about the IE technology. It's not my case. But I talk for the others that are not here, and I see that they have a problem to communicate to our online services.
Yeah.
can something be, and I'm quite sure you cannot do this. I'm asking the mayor if it's possible, or other people that are able and capable to speak out in behalf of those people that they are computerly totally illiterate, not because they want, it's because they don't have the skills at all.
So I don't want to jump ahead of the mayor in the answer, but I can give you a small answer from the library specifically. And I think you raise a really important point that, you know, as we move towards digital service, which is important for so many reasons, we don't want people to feel left behind, and that's the situation you're describing. So what I will say about the library service is that for any of these kinds of service, or if you're looking to help navigate city services or other agencies in the community, then our staff are a resource for folks in that situation. So whether it's by phone or sort of physically coming into the branch, we can have an opportunity to sort of work side by side with individuals. Our staff can make appointments so that it's at your convenience as well, and help you navigate that process. So that's one of the services that we do provide that's still a physical service. So certainly we're available to help.
So much would be the same even for the city. If you call here, we can quickly get to someone, whoever calls, we can quickly get someone online on the phone that in different languages, so we have that service available. The other thing, and maybe if you stick around afterwards, right on the Google search and when you are on your web browser, you can translate through Google into any language. Just being able to use the computer. Okay. Well, you know, again, I would say come into, Rose, do you want to address that too? Rose is from our contact center.
Yes, and we're very happy to help individuals, even if they come in person or over the phone. We help them navigate what needs to be done, or we'll do it for them as well. So in person, we can show them exactly what we're doing or what they need, and we can help them through it, or we do it for them. On the phone, the same thing. We're happy to help with that.
So I was going to, we have one more question here. I was going to say that was a great segue to the next presentation.
Hello. I would like to last questions, but I think it's not the least questions. It's about the health and well-being of senior, which I'm very pleased that the public library colleagues have mentioned about it. Because in the whole afternoon, we talk about the hardware side. The software side is really discussed. And I'm really pleased that the public library brings it out. I'm a volunteer of a senior organization, Milliken on the Move. We have around 700 members, over 700. Now, based on the experience I had over the last 10 years or so, our average age profile is around 72, average age of our members. So I can see our members are aging. They are also negatively impacted by the age, by the health deteriorations. But in actual fact, most of them do not aware their health is deteriorating. They don't even notice the symptoms. So when I talk to my colleague, I say, oh, how are you doing? Oh, fine, I did my annual checkup. It's good that my doctor didn't call me back. Now, then I asked him a little bit more, how's your blood pressure, your sugar level, you know? They have no idea. So far, the family doctor do not ask them to go back, everything is fine. And they do not aware that the health is really handicapped by the age. Now, if we can increase the awareness of our members or the senior in general, we can help them to address the potential health hazard well before it really comes surface out. Now, my question is, I'm very pleased that I know this afternoon the 5 senior club cover 4,000 senior. And I also know there's a lot of initiative from different organizations like CARES or Markham or different organizations to hold lecture or sort of seminars, mainly targeted to those already handicapped or hit by the health hazard or their caregiver. So the reach out to me is really limited to a small minorities. If we can address this help, you can do it in a sort of coordinated approach, maybe under the City of Markham, that we can have a sort of general approach to create the awareness among the senior, what are the potential health hazards they are facing in front of them. And that would not only save the cost to the family, but save the cost to the city in general, because there's a medical cost less. Now, I just want to see that, would the City of Markham do some, say, a coordinated approach, like roadshow, to put together some agendas that are most important to the, say, 60 plus, 65 plus, that they can expect either the hypertension, the diabetes, dementia symptoms. If they can already aware they might have this one, they might be able to treat earlier. In Medical Move, we are thinking of to have a so-called senior health fair within our domain. But I think this is still a piecemeal approach. If it can be coordinated and run on the city level, I think it will be much more effective and they cover much wider audience there. Thank you.
So I'll address that briefly. I think there are, and thank you for the question. There are a number of opportunities. Certainly, the hub that we've created at ANI is a start to that, where we have brought agencies, associations, medical practitioners into the hub who are doing some work around specifically what you're talking about. Can it be expanded? That is something that we're looking at, is expanding the hub models across the city. So that certainly is one opportunity. But I think the clubs, as you're doing, talking about health fairs, I think we have the clubs play a role in that, and certainly in making sure to get the information out. So it can be a coordinated approach, and certainly something that we could look at from a bigger perspective. Thank you. I want to thank Andrea and Catherine. Thank you so much for the library. And I just want to give you a heads up. We've just got 2 more presentations. One is on how to contact the city, and then the last one is on regional services. So I know we're running a little bit over time right now, but you've had some great questions. So I would like at this point to invite Rose Cozy, manager of the contact center, to the podium. Thanks, Rose.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to see so many faces. Now, as she mentioned, I'm the manager of the contact center, and basically what we are is the customer service center for the City of Markham. You can call us, you can email us, you can chat with us online, you can contact us in person, and we'll help you through a lot of those transactions that some of you have difficulty with. We deal with every single department here in the city, and we can put you in touch with anybody that needs to help you. If you have some transaction that needs assistance, like somebody mentioned earlier, we are there in person. We can walk you through. As I mentioned, we can help you do it while we're there with you, or we can do it for you, whatever the help that is that you need. As of the end of September, we've actually handled 160,000 transactions with customers, be it through phone calls, emails, web chats, social media, and in-person service. So we're there for everybody. We're there for all the residents in Markham. And as you see there, you can report a problem 24/7 on the mobile app, online if you choose to go on the city website and report that problem. It'll get directed right to the department that needs to work on it. So our operating hours are Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and we can be reached at 905-477-5530. After hour, we're also the same people that are answering the calls between 5 p.m. and midnight for emergency city services. Emergency city services being a tree is down, has blocked the road, flooding, your basement is flooding. Anything that is happening for the city, you can call us, we'll pick up the phone, and we'll dispatch somebody out there to help out. Again, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. to 8 a.m., 5 p.m. to midnight, where we pick up the phone and help assist. Next slide, please. Now, we also have on-demand services. In the event of an emergency, there's a winter storm, there's flooding, there's trees down, a big windstorm, there's an evacuation epidemic. We're the emergency service line as well. We come in, or we answer where we are, and we help our residents. We're available on demand. When somebody calls us and said we have a citywide emergency, it's the contact center that they bring in or they call to help out their residents. A lot of the administrative tasks that we do, yes, we do answer calls. Yes, we do a lot of these other items. But if you'll notice, we're also an administrative unit for many of our city services. We help with animal licensing, business licensing. We deal with all these other registrations. We help with the Explore. We do the refunds. We do adjustments. We help you register. We'll help walk you through. When you call for 6:30 a.m. in the morning on registration, we're the group that answers those calls and helps you get through it. We provide a lot of reports for all our departments, reports for our counselors, so they can see what the issues are that are coming for every area. So they know what's happening for that particular month. Okay?
Thank you, Rose. In the interest of time, Rose is actually part of the booth out in the Canada room. So if you have any specific questions about contacting the center, if you can join her back out in the Canada room, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
So before I introduce our last presenter, and last but not least, I want to remind you that the booths are open in the Canada Centre. Again, if you have any specific questions now after you've heard the presentations, please speak with staff. And there are refreshments available. That's the most exciting part. There are refreshments available after this. So please join us. So at this time, I would like to introduce Francis Morton-Chang. Francis is the program manager for the senior strategy team from the region of York. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. So I'm the one keeping you from refreshments, so I'll have to go very quickly. So what a pleasure to be here. So thank you, everyone. So for the first time in York Region history, the number of seniors now exceeds the number of children. And that's a very interesting development, and why it's so critical and so important that we're having these kinds of discussions right now and talking about cross-jurisdictional, cross-pollination efforts to really support seniors. So on the screen, you're going to see two things. I'll give you my props here. Our 2024 to 2027 York Region Plan to Support Seniors. And this friendly face is our brochure that talks about lots of programs and services for seniors that the region offers. We have little icons here. I'm only asked to speak to three today, and it's going to be super high level. So please come by the booth and ask further questions or reach out to me after if you have any others. So the plan that I just shared with you focuses on regional services where we have responsibility to act, and where we don't have responsibility to act, we do look to advocate to those that have decision-making power to help support needs that need to be addressed. In our York Region Programs and Services brochure, it'll talk to you about a number of services that I can't today, including paramedic services and public health, et cetera. And some of the questions that were raised here today might be a great place to look to see if some of those health needs that you're speaking about and others could also be addressed. You'll also see we have Access York noted on this slide. So similar to what Rose just shared, we have a regional center that answers questions and helps you with regional programs and services and beyond. So I encourage you to call them or visit them. Some people like to go in person, and we have kiosks as well that people can go and visit. So the services that I was asked to speak to are York Region Transit in 3 minutes or less, and social services and housing services. So the mayor very nicely set the table about loneliness and isolation in his very opening remarks. And one of the best ways to try and get around is through transit and transportation programs. So the region has a number of different accessible transit services, from mobility on request transit services for 65 plus, My Ride travel training for those who may not be familiar with using the bus or need some support in figuring out how to use the system. support person assistance cards when you need somebody to come and accompany you on a transit service so that they can carry that card. The person who actually is receiving the service has that card and lets other care partners use it as needed. Also, okay, we love to hear about discounts. The discounted rate for seniors fare for 65 plus when you use a Presto card is $2.40. And as I think somebody mentioned today, there is fare capping. So as of January 1st, 2024, senior travelers can ride York Region Transit for free after 28 trips in a calendar month using a Presto card. One of the easiest places to buy a Presto card and register it is Shoppers Drug Mart. We have a wonderful person from YRT at our booth, so I invite you to go and speak with Richard. Social services also offer many different services that can support seniors from our housing supports program. And that's where people with daily living issues, they may be struggling, can receive some support with lodging and meals. And referrals are accepted from a variety of sources, including hospitals and community agencies for people needing those types of services. Often the people may have some mental health issues, and so they struggle to live individually on their own, or they may have some frailty or cognitive impairment. I will go down to housing for just a moment in the interest of time. Community housing offers subsidized housing and market rent units to residents for almost 7,000 households in York Region through housing providers, including Housing York Incorporated, nonprofit, and cooperative organizations. Currently, there are a total of 12 buildings in Markham with just over 1,300 units. 5 buildings, or 31% of Markham's units, have seen a seniors mandate. And so people that are 60 and over are eligible to apply for senior-specific buildings. And the remainder are for families and include 1-bedroom units for singles. So I'll close with, for more information about the programs and services, you can visit our Access York through a phone call, through our website, or through a kiosk and go in person. Again.
Francis, thank you very much. There is one question I'd like to ask. I understand the paramedic services have a personal emergency information kit available. I know you have one to show. Can you share
yes,
what that
I would
is?
love for everybody to go to our booth and pick one of these up, or 2, depending on how many people in your household might need it. These are wonderful kits that our paramedic services team looks for if, goodness forbid, a paramedic needs to come and visit your house. And you're not able to speak on your own behalf. And so inside these kits that are low-tech, high-impact, look at the magnet, it goes on your refrigerator or your freezer. And inside there's a little paper insert. And the insert has some basic information about you and your health needs, your medications. You can go to your pharmacist and ask for a list. And then some other information that could be helpful, that if you are taken to hospital, this piece of paper can help speak to your needs. And so all of our paramedics are trained to go look on the refrigerator door, just in case you might have put it there. And there's a place to put your name, your spouse's name, your sister's name, whoever needs one of these. I have one, and so does my mom. So thank you for asking.
And I can speak from personal experience, not myself, but a family member. It works. Are there any other questions that somebody may have around the regional services and Regional Councillor Jolie? And certainly I know your team is out in the Canada room as well.
The complaint I get most of the time is senior housing. People waited for more than 10 years, and I get bogged down every time I get a call. You say, why do I wait that long? After 10 years, I'm still waiting. So am I ever going to get a unit before I'm going to die? That's the question that's difficult to answer.
So that's a very good question. I am not from the Housing Services Department, so I would defer to them. But I did see a wonderful presentation here today that spoke about the issue is really supply. And if there isn't a place for people to live, we can't place people in places that don't exist yet. So what Housing Services do is they help with a subsidized list, so that where there are some market rent available places for people. They often will work to help subsidize low-income folks to get into those types of places. It's not the perfect solution, but it's one way. And again, looking at creative options to help support seniors while they're on the wait list is something that's an action in the plan to support seniors. So while they are waiting on that very long, admittedly long wait list, they're getting access to services like assistance with their knowing what benefits they're entitled to, how to put in a tax return, and all the things to try and prepare you so that if and when you do get that call, you can actually get in. So.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? We have two more here, and then, but not for that. Okay. So is this a question related to?
I just want to say thank you to the city of Markham. Every time I get on the road, I think our roads are the best.
Oh, Alice, Lance? Thank you for that comment. That was on our roads. The process was now we were going to open for questions. I think in the interest of time, because we are after 4 o'clock and we committed to being 4 o'clock, we're going to cut it off right now, but we are all going to stay here, or we can meet you out in the Canada Room and answer any questions that you have or specific, because it may be a better conversation at that point. So I do invite you to go back to the Canada Room and see the booths. Now that you've seen the presentations, you may have some more questions, and please help yourself to the treats out there.
But before you go, we have our mayor who would like to just provide some concluding remarks.
I'm so excited about treats. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to talk for very long now that you've told everyone there's treats outside. I just want to take a moment to recognize 2 other councillors that were able to join us as well. I said that people had various commitments. Ward 7 Councillor Juanita Nathan, who is here. Welcome, Councillor Nathan. Thank you for coming. And Ward 8 Councillor Issa Lee. Thank you as well. And I just want to say, let's just give another big hand to all of the presenters today. They did a wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. Did we record this today? We did. So what we'll do, both through the city and collectively as members of council, we'll share the link to the video because I think there was a lot of great information. If you're on social media, we'll email the link to all of you. Share it with like I said, share it with your neighbors, share it with others in the community because they need to know about this information as well. And again, thank you to all of you for the inspiration you provide. During the pandemic, I called around to a few seniors and I said to them, "How are you doing?" And they said, "That's very nice of you to call, but why are you calling?" And I said, "Well, there's a pandemic on." And it was more than one person that said to me, "Don't worry, Frank, we've been through worse things than this." And I just want you, first of all, to say thank you to all of you for what you've done. And through your wisdom, I hope you pass that on to others in the community because there have been a lot of things that you have had to contend with over many years. And I think your wisdom, your strength can be inspirational to so many others in the community because, it doesn't matter through what you live through. There are also younger families that are facing challenges in our community. And I think your wisdom, your inspiration can help them out as well. Thank you for coming this afternoon. And please enjoy the treats and share the information. Thank you.
Mayor Scarpitti, I just wanted to remind everyone that's attending both in person and online that you will be receiving a survey from us via email, and it's about today's session. And if you have any questions that we unfortunately didn't get to today, please submit it through that process, and we will ensure that you get an answer to your question. So thank you so much.